Last thing I wanted to get into before I know your time's important here. I think your family has some background and some insights on this. What's immigration look like that's done the right way?
Well, following the law for one, understanding that there's a right way and a wrong way, a legal way and an illegal way to not just immigrate, but to enter the United States to begin with, and then staying in the United States. You know, if you're going to come into the country, there are legal official ports of entry. You come in through those places.
Sure.
You don't overstay a visa if you're a tourist.
Sure.
Or or a student or a work visa, H-1B, whatever. If your visa's up, then your time's up. You don't stick around. And at the end of the day, it's about not trespassing, not cutting in line, and not lying, doing the right thing. All the things we generally teach our children to do.
Sure. Now I know your father, I believe, came from India, right?
No. My father is from the United States.
Okay. How far back we going then?
Far as I know, I'm not really into going back too many generations. It's just not something I'm interested in. But my wife's family and her, when she was very young, when her entire family came over here from India.
Okay. There we go.
My mother came from Central Asia / Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And like I said, she, as a young girl, spent time in those German concentration camps.
Wow.
And then ended up on the wrong side of the Iron Curtain, and then got the flip side, got the Soviet labor camp. She got the double whammy. So when she hears people talking about communism, socialism,
oh yeah, it's an insult.
It's an insult, or any of these comparisons to concentration camps. And so they all came to the country, to the United States of America, the right way.
Yeah.
Some more so than others have assimilated and gone through the naturalization process and become citizens, which I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
I've talked about this online and in person and in videos before. I think that we should change our entire situation and even slightly amend our Constitution regarding some of these things.
How would you do that?
Well, the first thing I think we should do is we should get rid of the first sentence of the 14th Amendment. No more birthright or just solely citizenship.
Okay.
And then people talk about this issue of anchor babies and other such things. As written under the 14th Amendment, no such thing as anchor babies. Birth tourism, on the other hand, absolutely legal because of the under the jurisdiction thereof language.
Yes.
If birth tourism, they have a valid visa. They are in the country legally. We have full jurisdiction over them. And if they happen to pop out a child, give birth at that time.
Right.
Well, that we can get into that abortion argument. A child born, that is a person. All persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens.
Yeah.
And, looking back, if we look at the original purpose and intent of that clause of the 14th Amendment, it's an anachronism now. Its purpose has long since been served. And I think we should move to a situation where naturalization and or federal service should be the only means of achieving U.S. citizenship.
Yeah, now you served in the military with people who actually, that was part of them getting their citizenship, right?
Right. We've had various programs, and I remember during my final year in the Navy on an aircraft carrier, we had a mass naturalization ceremony for our sailors and Marines that had been going through the process, and it's one of the proudest moments of their lives, and the same for many other people that go through the process. And I look at it kind of like some of these constitutional carry issues with the handguns and the laws.
Yeah.
People who are citizens just by accident of birth.
Yeah.
Not putting aside the lack of appreciation for it, versus people that go through the naturalization process, where you have to learn about the history and the culture of the United States of America. You have to demonstrate English proficiency. You have to give up any other citizenships or allegiances. And that's another thing. I am absolutely opposed to recognizing any dual citizenship.
Absolutely,
if you are a citizen of anything other than the United States of America, I don't think you should be allowed to hold any office.
How did
in our
Teddy
country.
Roosevelt put it? He must be an American and nothing else.
That's right. We have no room for any hyphenated Americans.
So I want to say, my great-grandfather came from Belgium. That's really where my patriarchal ancestry come back. So I'm fourth generation American on that. And the town where I grew up was a melting pot of many different, mostly European ethnicities. And I was reading recently some of the old history of the different churches in my hometown. And I find out the Lutheran church that was at that time called the Swedish Lutheran Church. Mm-hmm. The first 40 years that church existed in my hometown, all of their services were in Swedish. Mm-hmm. They did not even begin to offer an English language service until 40 years. Yeah. So that issue of language, and then let's take all the other issues of culture and stuff. I get a little bit nervous when I hear people talking about things that are more reflective of culture than other things. And I'll tell you why. And I know this sounds pretty stark, but I would rather take an immigrant from a nation where the government did little or nothing for him and his family, and he had to learn to be self-sufficient in order to get by. I'd rather take that family than a family from Eastern European socialism heritage. You know, because, again, if we're looking for a political future that is consistent with our past, the rugged individualism, the liberty, that means, you know what, it's going to carry with it risks. If you want all the safety, it's going to require giving up all the liberty. Because the two seem to tug a war one with another. Oh, yeah. I think it was Benjamin Franklin said, those who would exchange essential liberties for temporary security deserve
neither.
Neither. There we go.
Neither. Tomato, tomato.
That's right.
Potato, potato.
And, you know, and to me, I don't much care about what their culture is, except that to the extent that they can live with other cultures respectfully.
Oh, absolutely.
I just got back from central Minnesota, and the college town about half a mile from where I grew up was a town of about 60,000 until the governor of Minnesota brought in 15,000 Somalis. Mm. And the Somalis there largely did not want to assimilate.
No, they did not.
And still don't. A friend of mine who lives, his house is right in that section of St. Cloud that's known as Little Somalia. Or Little
Mogadishu.
Mogadishu, yeah. He said, you don't even dare go into a public restroom. Because to them, the way to use a toilet is get up, stand on top, and squat.
Right. They're used to, as they say, Eastern style of toilets or squat toilets, where it's a hole in the floor.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking it. I've been in places where that's how it is, and you work on your balance technique. But if you have a commode, sit on the thing.
Yeah. If we're going to have public accommodations, we're going to have to assimilate a little bit of culture, right? And language is going to be a barrier, okay? Because this is what we're offering, right? This is our language, this is how we speak. But you know what? If you want to still, have your festivals, whether it's the Scottish Games or Oktoberfest or Cinco de Mayo, or give me something else. I don't know. I'm trying not to ignore Asia, okay?
Holy, Diwali.
Yeah, fine.
Chinese New Year.
Have your culture things, even have your religious things, right? Because to me, what did Jefferson say? The just authority of government lies in its protecting us from the harms of others.
Oh, yeah.
But what does it harm me for my neighbor to believe in one God
or 10 gods? It either picks my pocket nor breaks my leg.
Thank you. Somebody else knows how to quote that. Yes. So
I read a book or two in my day.
Yeah, that's right. And so to me, on immigration, I'm okay with the melting pot. I'm okay with retaining the cultural heritage.
Well, here's the thing. You say melting pot, and we're a little older than the current millennial generation.
Yeah.
And I was around, I remember this distinctly, when people started saying that we don't do melting pot anymore. Now we're a tossed salad. We're just going to throw everything together, and everything is going to maintain its distinctiveness, and we're not going to melt together and blend, and we're not going to have a whole that's greater than the sum of its parts. We're just going to have a bunch of parts, which to me is balkanization. And we've seen in Eastern Europe how well that works out.
Yes.
And so I think we need to get back, not only back to the idea of the melting pot, but back to insisting upon it.
Right.
And having common standards and expectations of all of our citizens, regardless of who they are, where they came from, where their forefathers came from, what they look like, doesn't matter. This is what is expected of you. We're going to hold you accountable to it. Nobody gets a pass or exception. We're not going to say, oh, it's okay, those people, we're not going to hold them accountable because that's just how those people are. That's their way. It would be discriminatory of us to do that to them. No, it would be discriminatory to everybody else to not do it to them, just as you would do to everyone else.
And that's true. To me, it's what George W. Bush called the soft bigotry of low expectations.
Right, the soft racism of low expectations. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then when you talk about the flip side, they want to blame some errant, deviant behaviors on poverty. No, it's because they have the worst type of poverty, the poverty of values.
Yes. All right. I think we've left had something to chew on tonight, and the studio lights get a little warm in here. Anything else you want to address? Any announcements? Anything coming up you want to plug?
Let's see. I think the big thing that I have coming up or on my mind is the Lincoln Reagan dinner coming up. Lieutenant Colonel, oh my goodness, help me out here.
I have no clue. I ain't gonna help you.
The one from Texas, Allen West.
West, I think he's from Florida.
No, my goodness. No, I can't.
I know. You gotta go to Adrian Otap.
In fact, well, you know what? I have this rectangle here that has all of human knowledge on it. Give me just a second.
Folks, while I got you here and he's looking that up, don't forget to join me on Monday nights on 3D Politics Live. I'm here with the guys for that. Actually, coming from the same studio, high atop Tulsa, Oklahoma.
All right, I was right. Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, who does live in the Dallas-Fort Worth.
He did. I think he won. He was in the legislature. I mean, the Congress. He was Florida.
Florida. May have been, but he lives in Dallas now. Amazing man, amazing patriot. I've seen him once before, got to meet him, and he has some words of wisdom. And again, well-decorated Army veteran. Yeah. He's been there, done that, sacrificed for America. He knows what it's about, what we're fighting for. He understands that, even here in the political arena, what the other side, what their end goal is, and spooky lights, what their end goal is, and the fact that they have no limitations upon how they will go about achieving it.
Yeah.
And that we're doing ourselves a disservice by not understanding that and truly understanding who the enemy is, how they operate, and what is at stake. And what is at stake is the future of America, the future of the most valuable thing the world has ever seen, the United States of America.
Good words. We'll leave it with that. Thank you for being part of this tonight. Thanks for